Tonight on CTV News.
I think that would sell out forest families for nothing. It is a disgraceful approach for British Columbia.
The Premier blasts the BC Conservatives over calls to reverse the U.S. booze ban, accusing the opposition of siding with the Americans. Also tonight.
We've called for investigations at all levels.
Are municipal elections being swayed by foreign influence? Why one civic party wants to know who's behind online campaigns which they say are targeting Surrey voters. And
the lady just jumped and grabbed my mom's chain and ran out the yard.
It only takes seconds. How thieves are targeting local seniors, distracting them and stealing valuable jewelry.
This is CTV News with Nafisa Kareem.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. The Premier is accusing the BC Conservatives of siding with the United States in the ongoing tariff dispute. David Eby says key members of the opposition quietly met with the U.S. ambassador and are undermining a key tactic in the trade war, BC's ban on American booze. With more, here's our Legislative Bureau Chief, Rob Buffum.
BC's booze ban has not only drawn the ire of Donald Trump, it's becoming a lightning rod for controversy at home. The Premier accusing his opponents, the BC Conservatives, of siding with the Americans.
I understand the Conservatives had their quiet meeting with the ambassador of the United States and have come out and said that we should get rid of the only leverage that appears to be catching the attention of the president by putting U.S. alcohol back on the shelves. I couldn't disagree more. I think that would sell out forest families for nothing. It is a disgraceful approach for British Columbia. And I don't understand the logic of it.
U.S. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra did meet earlier this month with several BC Conservative MLAs, including Brian Tepper.
I think that's been our stance from the beginning, is why did we bring it in? The people of British Columbia can choose if they want to boycott something or not.
Now that the ban's in place, Tepper says there are a few options his party would consider, including removing the ban as a show of good faith or using it as leverage to reduce or eliminate tariffs on softwood lumber.
We still want to use it now as a bargaining position as moving forward, right? We still are in negotiations and it's in play.
Not the fiery position Eby took last week.
There is not a chance in hell that U.S. alcohol is going back on the shelf in British Columbia.
Or even today.
We will never put U.S. alcohol back on the shelves. And I think that approach for British Columbia is the right approach.
But it's not the right approach for Alberta. Premier Danielle Smith saying she'll keep American liquor on the shelves. The American president now claiming he doesn't care what we do.
Here's the thing. Mexico and Canada need us. We don't need them. The deal is important for them. It's not important for us.
And so far, a trade deal with the U.S. is as hard to find as Kentucky bourbon on BC shelves.
Well, Rob Buffum joins us live now from Victoria. Rob, what more did Trump say today about a possible trade deal?
Well, Nafisa, he had called into the Fox Morning Show and he also said that he is not interested in renegotiating or updating CUSMA, the trade deal they're working on. Of course, this is coming from the person famous for the art of the deal. So posturing and negotiating in the press is something he's very familiar with. We are now just 3 weeks away from the deadline he has set for slapping additional 50% tariffs on multiple Canadian goods. So we'll have to wait till August 19th to see if that does indeed happen. Nafisa.
The ride continues. Thank you, Rob. Vancouver City Council is backing away from a controversial development known as the Villages Plan. The plan to densify parts of the city by creating more low-rise housing has officially been defeated. CTV's Isabella Zavarisi reports on the collapse of a proposal that was pitched by the mayor himself.
The mayor's own proposal soundly defeated. All red, the only green in favor, a member of the opposition.
This plan, it wasn't perfect, but it would have provided more affordable, accessible housing choices in more neighbourhoods.
Surprising, because Sim introduced the plan as an urgent motion 3 years ago, calling it a bold move.
If we do not build more housing, this will get worse.
The village's plan aimed to allow more low-rise housing and mixed developments in 17 neighborhoods. The public hearing lasted days.
Canceling plans like this, or even just slow walking them, risks worsening the housing crisis.
Developers are really running the city, not the people.
And drew allegations of foreign interference from SIM, with the hotel union admitting it asked allies in California to phone in.
Have you ever visited Vancouver?
No, not yet. I hope to.
Council says the plan required more engagement.
More time in the neighborhoods would be beneficial. We moved quickly. We built off of the excellent and very, very valid engagement that went into the Vancouver plan.
And did not strike the right balance.
I do think that no homeowner should feel that City Hall is deciding the future of their property without their voice being heard.
The opposition says council set staff up to fail, wasted city resources, and insisted it was simply political.
I think it was influenced by the outcome of the election, or the potential for negative outcome of the election. Because again, this was very clear direction from the mayor and his political party, and they've done an about-face on it.
At Tuesday's meeting, council did approve some changes to increase density, but nothing nearly as grand, instead allowing for small apartments on single-family lots.
Well, Isabella joins us live. And Isabella, I understand council has been packing in a lot over the past week.
Yeah, that's right, Nafisa. Summer break is coming up, so they're trying to wrap up as much as they can. Yesterday, they approved a trio of the city's tallest towers, and tonight they'll decide on whether to allow a floating spa in Kitsilano. Nafisa?
Isabella, thank you. The wildfires that have forced the evacuation of the village of Clinton and surrounding areas are expected to grow larger. They were active throughout the night, and now severe thunderstorms are in the forecast. Here's CTV's Martin McMahon with the latest.
This fire complex has forced hundreds of people from their homes in communities including the village of Clinton and 70 Mile House. And now the Pear Lake fire, which has merged with the 59 Creek fire, could expand even further.
With this weather outlook for these next couple of days, we're really expecting extreme fire behavior expected today, and significant growth on these incidents is definitely possible.
The Wildfire Service says the area has been heavily affected by drought. Then there are other issues, including downed power lines along Highway 97.
We are focusing on safety of our people, as well as our partners like BC Hydro, who may be out working. So that's our number one priority with this extreme fire behavior. Our people and their safety are number one. Our structure and protection people are also out, of course, prioritizing work where there is active fire in and around structures.
Meanwhile, Environment and Climate Change Canada has issued a yellow alert for thunderstorms in parts of the Cariboo. There are also air quality concerns in many parts of the province.
If you're downwind from those fires, that smoke will start drifting into your areas as well. So it also sort of depends on the time of day. Often it gets worse at night.
The Premier says people in Clinton and the surrounding area are learning about damage, or in some cases destruction, of their homes or properties.
I understand a number of people in Clinton may be hearing that they've lost homes or other structures, businesses in the region today. First of all, I just want to say I know all British Columbians are thinking of those folks right now, and knowing with the wildfire seasons we've had that this threat is present in every corner of the province. And
still, this dashcam video from a driver transporting wildfire equipment in Clinton shows as of Tuesday morning, many buildings remain intact, with crews doing all they can to protect Clinton as conditions worsen. Martin McMahon, CTV News.
A peek outside, the rain has washed away, the sun is back, and we still have air quality concerns, though, around the province because of those wildfires.
That's right, and as you saw in the footage that Martin just showed us, very smoggy in those areas. We do have air quality warnings in place for the Cariboo region, Columbia, as well as the Okanagan, stretching all the way to Elk Valley for the next 24 to 48 hours. So anybody with respiratory problems to stay indoors and limit active weather, activity outside. As we head into the overnight, we'll see a few clouds, 13 degrees, seasonal lows, and then tomorrow we'll see a mix of sun and cloud, temperatures between 21 and 23, a mix of sun and cloud. UV index is high, so don't forget, after all the rain, to put on your sunscreen.
All right, thanks, Sam. Still ahead tonight, WestJet warns flights could be grounded as soon as Sunday as a strike threat by flight attendants looms. The union and the airline have been in negotiations for months with the pay system at the core of the impasse. We'll have more on the potential job action later tonight on CTV News at 6. Tenants and advocates in Vancouver's downtown east side are sounding the alarm, warning hundreds of low-income residents could be displaced as several SRO buildings face foreclosure.
It is a crisis because when new landlords like this one at the West Hotel takes over, we do see changes that don't necessarily benefit the tenants and could lead to homelessness and more street disorder.
Multiple SROs have recently foreclosed or are about to. Advocates are urging all levels of government to act quickly and create a permanent fund that would allow nonprofit organizations to buy buildings in financial distress. Nearly 300 rental homes in Burnaby are getting upgrades and retrofits thanks to a major federal funding boost.
I'm pleased to announce that the federal government is providing over $29 million to help upgrade and retrofit 284 units in 3 different projects here in Burnaby.
Today's announcement was made at Post 83, a nonprofit co-op housing project where 181 homes will be retrofitted. The federal government says the funding will support green upgrades such as new windows, improved heating and cooling systems, and rooftop solar panels. The work is designed to reduce energy costs while helping residents stay safe and comfortable during extreme weather events. BC's municipal elections are still months away, but the campaigns are already heating up. Now, a party in Surrey alleges foreign interference is happening through Facebook groups and is demanding an investigation. Our Penny Daflos looks into their concerns.
At a time most of us are enjoying lazy summer days and not thinking about October elections, some municipal politicians are already in campaign mode.
We've called for investigations at all levels.
The Safe Surrey Coalition alleges several Facebook groups posting about issues south of the Fraser are actually being run out of India.
Taking into account what's happened in Surrey in regards to the extortions and everything and the influence that's happening across North America, it is concerning for all of us.
It's very true that foreign influence is a concern in Canada, especially during a trade war with the U.S.
I think we need to be thinking about the potential exposure that Canadians have to American malign forces.
Research shows only about half of Canadians know they haven't been seeing legitimate news sources on Meta platforms since 2023. That's when the company blocked journalism on Instagram and Facebook when the Online News Act called for tech companies to pay up for that content.
Sharing of news without proper compensation is not fair.
Into that information vacuum, Facebook pages that appear to be news but are actually AI-generated slop, often misleading and divisive.
It's an extra burden for them to have to try and wade through and figure out what is legitimate journalism and what is not.
With a motive that can be tough to determine.
Foreign interference can happen for political reasons, but it can also happen for economic ones as well.
The Facebook accounts in question don't appear to favor any mayoral candidates and pass scrutiny by Elections BC.
What our initial review of the pages showed was that it's not a violation of election advertising rules.
This isn't even really news. It's kind of AI-generated nonsense. Like, how reputable are these pages anyhow?
Well, that's a good question. It influences people no matter what. People aren't as smart as you and can identify the slop, and they just are influenced by what they see.
Making accounts like these a good example of the importance of questioning the source and motivation of online posts, especially leading up to municipal elections. Penny Daflos, CTV News, Surrey.
A woman is recovering after an early morning shooting in Surrey. Police believe it was a targeted attack, but say it wasn't extortion related. Officers were called to 106th Avenue near 135A Street just before 3:45 a.m. Police say a woman suffered non-life-threatening injuries and the suspect fled the scene. Major crime investigators have taken the lead in the case, and police are asking anyone with CCTV or dashcam footage to come forward. They're quick and organized, and they're targeting some of Vancouver's most vulnerable people. Scammers are stealing precious valuables from seniors, and police are warning would-be victims to stay alert after dozens of distraction thefts were reported across the city this year. CTV's Dimitra Maragos reports.
Janice Yang, a 72-year-old East Vancouver resident, says she was targeted outside of her home. 3 people approached her, offering a gift in exchange for her necklace. The suspects allegedly yanked the necklace from her neck before the group fled in a rental car.
My mom said she felt really nervous when it happened, but she just wanted her necklace back.
Police say the crimes happen in seconds, but the impact can last much longer, leaving victims without treasured family heirlooms and feeling unsafe. VPD explains thieves approach seniors on foot or in vehicles, distract them, then use sleight of hand to replace valuable jewelry with fake pieces. If victims resist, police say it's not uncommon for suspects to simply rip the jewelry away.
They're despicable. They're purposely preying on elderly individuals.
VPD says as of July 16th, there have been 35 distraction thefts with the total value of items stolen being over $240,000. Police believe organized crime rings are behind many of the thefts, with suspects traveling across Canada in rental vehicles looking for victims.
I want them to know that we're aware. We're aware of what they're doing. We are looking for them.
In Yang's case, officers arrested 35-year-old Ontario resident Amelia Stoyan, who has since been charged with robbery and is scheduled to appear in BC Supreme Court on August 10th. Her son says while his mother lost a treasured piece of jewelry, she hopes sharing her story will prevent someone else from becoming a victim.
For seniors, she just wants to warn them, to be mindful, to be safe.
Dimitri Marigo, CTV News, Vancouver.
After the break, a once-in-a-lifetime adventure washed out.
What are normally super low passable rivers were impassable. They're waist high.
Treacherous conditions on the West Coast Trail lead to significant evacuations. What it means for hikers hoping to hit the iconic trail when CTV News at 6 continues. Stay with us. The driver of this commercial truck is facing charges for hauling an oversized dozer without a permit in Richmond last week. RCMP say the load measured 3.8 meters, exceeding the 2.6 meter legal limit, and was taking up almost 2 lanes on Garden City Road. As a result, the driver was issued 2 violations. Hiking the West Coast Trail on Vancouver Island is a bucket list item for people around the world. Now they're being asked to put their plans on hold as Parks Canada responds to a growing number of evacuation requests following days of heavy rain. CTV's Anna McMillan reports.
Bright and early, these hikers are boarding a bus that will take them to the West Coast Trail, parts of which Parks Canada says are impassable.
We got an email from Parks Canada saying that a couple of the river crossings are pretty difficult and that it's been raining a lot. They don't recommend starting this time if you're not an experienced backpacker.
Parks Canada says it's responding to a significant number of evacuation requests on the 75-kilometer trail along Vancouver Island's west coast.
We're going to do it anyways. We're coming down from the top, so the crossings that they mostly talk about are at the southern end, and we're starting at the northern end, and we're pretty experienced backpackers.
Rivers and creeks are high due to heavy rainfall, and crossing them is not recommended. Parks Canada is asking hikers to delay their trips or continue only if they're fully prepared for the conditions.
We just want to go down there and check it out for ourselves and see whether or not we can do the trip or not.
That hiker traveled here from Oklahoma.
We get to a water crossing or something and the water is just too deep or we just won't cross. That's just the bottom line. But we've done 20 trips, so we're going to make the right decision, though.
This right here is my West Coast Trail map.
Heather Miller hiked part of the trail solo this past weekend. She encountered hikers who'd been on the south part of the trail and were soaked.
What are normally super low passable rivers in the south, which is the direction that I was going, were impassable. They're waist high.
She's hiked the trail twice before and has never seen it like this.
So this is normally just a little creek that you can walk through.
She made the call to bail and got a ride out on a boat.
I feel sad for people who've come from New Zealand and Korea and Saskatoon, that spent all this time and money and airfare to cut their trip short. But you got to protect what you have, right, to be able to have more adventures in the future.
More rain is expected Wednesday, and Parks Canada is encouraging people to hold off on the hike until Thursday at the earliest. Anna McMillan, CTV News, Victoria.
Now to the latest on the wildfires burning in northern Ontario. There are more than 150 active blazes. They include the largest in the province's history. The wildfire, dubbed Thunder Bay 36, covers more than 3,000 square kilometers. Recent rainfall has helped slow the flames, but is still out of control, and at least 22 other wildfires are still uncontained. Additional crews from Alberta have arrived to help. In France, 4,000 more people were ordered to leave tourist sites along the Atlantic coast today. The move increases what may be the country's largest peacetime evacuation. But about 60,000 residents who fled as a precaution near Bordeaux can now return. They have been told to keep their phones on and bags packed just in case, though. More than 1,100 square kilometers have burned across France this year. Across the border in Spain, several major blazes are still burning out of control. Still, firefighters made progress overnight and authorities began lifting evacuations and stay-at-home orders for at least 20,000 of the 79,000 people forced to flee over the weekend. Residents of some villages were also being allowed home. Spain is bracing for its fourth heat wave of the summer so far. After the break, will they stay or will they go? A new poll sheds some light on how Albertans are feeling ahead of a separation referendum. But first, a powerful earthquake rocks southern Japan. We'll have the latest on the damage as CTV News at 6 continues. In southern Japan, a powerful 7.1 magnitude earthquake knocked out power to thousands of homes and badly damaged roads, bridges, and buildings. At least 3 people were killed, including 2 who were found without vital signs at a shopping mall that had collapsed. About 300,000 people have been told to go to evacuation centers. Hundreds of soldiers have been deployed to help with rescue operations as aftershocks continue. Police in Seattle say a 15-year-old arrested in the Food Fest shooting this weekend was armed with a ghost gun.
A ghost gun is an untraceable weapon that lacks a serial number. They are typically homemade and they are illegal.
Investigators also recovered 2 other weapons and 14 shell casings. They believe the shooting was targeted gang-related violence, and more than 1 suspect may be at large. 3 people, including a suspected gunman, were killed and 4 others injured in the gunfight on Sunday. We've seen the impact of extortion-related shootings here in BC. Now a similar crime wave is taking hold in parts of Ontario, where experts say gun violence has nearly doubled in just a year. CTV's Adrian Gabriel reports.
As screams of terror and the echo of gunshots reverberate through communities, across the country, public alarm and concern is rising. While a Statistics Canada report released this month shows that both non-violent and violent crime is down across the country on a per capita basis, there are still pockets of violence plaguing Canadian communities. In Peel Region west of Toronto, the number of shootings has nearly doubled in the first 6 months of this year when compared to the same period in 2025. The number of home invasions that peaked during the first 6 months of 2024 dropped last year, but have remained persistent so far in 2026.
5:30 in the morning, I hear this big smash. I'm like, okay, I'm getting broken into.
Sam McDaddy calls Peel Region home. His company is the official real estate brokerage of the Toronto Raptors. He's using his voice as a community leader to share his story.
And there's 7 people with guns, so I was like, yeah, this is pretty serious.
In July of 2023, McDaddy was asleep in his home in Mississauga, Ontario, when in the blink of an eye, he became a home invasion victim.
Very frightening.
The criminals grabbed his car keys and smashed through his gate as they fled. A year and a half later, McDaddy found himself the victim of another violent crime.
I get in the car, all of a sudden the door opens, 2 young guys, get out, give us the keys. So carjacking.
CTV News sat down one-on-one with Peel Region's Deputy Chief of Police.
Our shooting numbers are up this year. The reason for that increase is absolutely connected to extortions and also organized crime and the international drug trade.
While admitting the challenges with guns and gangs, the deputy chief also believes that social media is exacerbating the public's fear.
The way that we consume information about our community has changed. So very quickly, one incident becomes everybody's reality.
Though the lived experience of McDaddy that resulted in him purchasing 2 police-trained guard dogs has left him feeling unsafe.
And now this is twice now in 2 years. I mean, what's this country become? Like, this isn't the Canada we signed up for.
How our people feel in our community and the fact that they need to feel safe is as important as them statistically being safe. We are absolutely in this fight with our community together.
Police here reiterate their belief that the new abilities that will be at their disposal to track digital evidence through Bill C-22 and their ability to keep people behind bars for longer through Bill C-14 will keep communities here in Peel Region and across the country safer. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Mississauga, Ontario.
A new poll on Alberta's separatist movement suggests an overwhelming majority of voters in that province want to remain in Canada. The poll surveyed 2,000 people online in early June. The largest support for staying in Canada is in the big cities. Calgary had 78% of respondents who say they'll definitely or probably vote to stay. Edmonton had 80%. But even in more rural areas, the stays won by at least 2 to 1. Experts say, however, that doesn't mean the vote is a guarantee.
Everything is going to be about turnout when we get close to referendum day. For separatists, obviously, this is a first chance to express this view at the ballot box, so we can expect turnout among those supporters to be quite high. It's really easy for people who support staying in Canada to sort of shrug this off, look at a long line at the polling station, and not show up.
The poll was commissioned by Vote to Stay, a third-party advertiser that includes former Premier Jason Kenney, who has been outspoken about separation for months now, saying the economic damage would be devastating. Still ahead, a roadmap to buying a car for your teen that won't crash your bank account. But first, that is a truck backing up on a busy Montreal highway, carrying a combustible load, no less. The fine handed down to this dangerous driver. Plus, Anne's forecast is next.
Time now for tonight's Skywatch, looking west towards the Canby Bridge with lots going on in Falls Creek under slightly hazy skies.
CTV Skywatch is brought to you by Kermac Collision and Autoglass, the name you'll remember when it matters. Kermac cares for kids.
Well, we have our share of bad drivers here in BC, and you've got to keep your eyes peeled when you're behind the wheel in case someone tries to pull something like this. This is video taken from a traffic camera on Highway 20 in the Montreal area. You can see a truck slow down after missing an exit for a weigh station. It then backs up in the right lane. You can see cars braking and swerving quickly, trying to avoid the truck. The union representing road controllers says on top of the dangerous maneuver, the truck was also carrying refrigerated liquid carbon dioxide. No one was hurt. The driver now faces a $1,600 fine. Their license was suspended for 7 days. My goodness, that is very scary. And it's also, you can see there's all those traffic cones, so it's already perilous.
Yes, a bad idea for sure. But I'm glad nobody was hurt and no accidents were caused. All right, let's take a look at our forecast. The rain that we saw earlier on has cleared out of the way, all thanks to this ridge of high pressure offshore. Slowly clearing things out of the way as we head into tomorrow, and also we'll keep things dry for the southern interior as well as central interior. So the air quality warning still in place for the Cariboo region. There is a thunderstorm warning in place around Prince George through this evening, and the air quality warnings stretch all the way to the Okanagan region and stretching all the way to Elk Valley, including the Kootenays, as we head into the next 48 hours. Still pretty unsettled for the north coast as we head through this evening. Continuing into tomorrow morning, you will see a few scattered showers, and then it does clear up through the afternoon. For us along the south coast, we're looking at a mix of sun and clouds. So tonight, we'll see partly cloudy skies clearing up around midnight, clouding over once again tomorrow morning. 16 degrees around 8 with some sunny breaks in there. A mix of sun and cloud from noon to 3 with a high of 21 degrees. Mostly sunny skies by this time tomorrow night. You'll see a lot of sunshine for the central interior as well as the southern interior. Your provincial forecast at the bottom of your screen. 16 degrees under partly cloudy skies for Port Hardy. You'll warm up to 21s for Campbell River and Comox. Same story for the South Island from Tofino right down to Victoria with temperatures between 17 and 23 degrees. For the Sunshine Coast, a mix of sun and cloud in 21. Touch warm up the Sea to Sky Highway for Squamish, 23 under mostly sunny skies. And for us across the lower mainland, we're looking at a mix of sun and cloud with temperatures between 21 and 23 degrees. Same story for Thursday. We say goodbye to July on Friday. Clouds over with sunny breaks in 22. Into Saturday, we'll start off with a few scattered showers drying up. Slight chance of early morning showers on Sunday. Clears up quite nicely. And then on holiday Monday, warming up to 23 degrees, mostly sunny skies. Hotter yet on Tuesday, sunshine with temperatures between 25 and 29 degrees. So summer's not over, even though it might have felt like fall the last couple of days.
I'm liking how the holiday Monday is looking. We'll keep an eye on that. Thanks, Sam. After the break, some NHL games are heading exclusively to Amazon, and you won't be able to catch them anywhere else. Plus, 30 days or it's free. The feds expand online passport renewals. We'll show you who is eligible as CTV News at 6 continues. Taking a look at today's markets, the Canadian dollar traded for 70 cents to the American dollar. Oil was down $3, closing the day at $79.26 U.S. a barrel. Gold lost nearly $40 on the day. The TSX was up 181 points, while the Dow Jones was up 537 points. Canadian hockey fans will now have to fork over more money to watch NHL games on Wednesdays if they're not already subscribers to Amazon Prime.
It's hockey, and it's on Prime.
The streaming service will be the exclusive broadcaster of Wednesday night games in Canada for the next 12 years in both English and French. The deal is a sub-licensing agreement with NHL rights holder Rogers, and it comes weeks after it was announced that Hockey Night in Canada would no longer be carried on CBC, bringing a long-standing tradition to an end. The BC government has announced 462 new training seats for electricians, millwrights, plumbers, and other technicians at Kwantlen Polytechnic University.
That means that every year, 460 more people will be graduating with the skills that they need to take high-paying jobs that are going to support them and their families and a vibrant life here in British Columbia.
The funding is part of a $241 million investment for 5,000 new skilled trades training seats across the province. The Premier says the training opens doors for young people to rewarding careers and bigger paychecks while delivering homes, infrastructure, and major projects that the province needs. Despite the cost of many groceries staying steady or even dropping this month, the price of protein is on the rise. New data released by the Agri-Food Analytics Lab at Dalhousie University found that prices in meat and fish increased by 6.5%, adding nearly $6 to the average grocery bill. The biggest jump was the price of bacon. That increased nearly 29%, followed by Atlantic salmon at 26%. However, the price of chicken breast was down nearly 27%. Parents looking to buy their teen's first car may be tempted to go for the cheapest option, but experts warn safety should be the priority as the crash rate for teens is nearly 4 times higher than it is for older drivers. CTV's Pat Foran breaks down the safest, budget-friendly models.
When it comes to buying your teen a car, you might be tempted to buy a less expensive bare bones model, but car crashes are one of the leading causes of death for young drivers aged 15 to 24. You can't blame parents like Mio Hinkson for worrying. Her son Jordan recently got his driver's license, and she knows choosing the right vehicle for him is critical.
For now, he drives our car with us, but when he's ready, we're planning on getting something newer and safer.
And Consumer Reports agrees.
A parent should buy a car
with as much safety as their budget allows.
CR and the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety analyzed makes and models to find safe, budget-friendly car options. They identified 74 used cars that have performance and features designed to keep young drivers safe, but that also have high levels of crash protection if the worst does occur. On the list, popular picks like the Honda Civic, Toyota Camry, and Hyundai Tucson.
For teen drivers, features like automatic emergency braking, forward collision warning, and blind spot warning can provide them with an extra layer of protection while their experience is still developing.
New drivers will have to be added to your vehicle's insurance policy, and parents should expect a major increase in premiums. Along with safety features, Mio reminds her son nothing replaces good driving habits.
The main thing that I share with him is always safety, to just make sure that he is paying attention.
Keeping a clean driving record, avoiding tickets, and driving safely can also help keep your premiums from going up. Pat Foran, CTV News.
Renewing your passport just got easier as Ottawa removes a cap on the number of applications accepted daily. Online passport renewals have been available on a limited basis since December 2024 as part of a pilot program. The number of applications accepted daily was capped at 2,000 until today. To be eligible, you have to have a Canadian address and have been at least 16 years old when you got your last passport, sometime since 2011. Applicants are still required to submit a passport photo digitally. Flight attendants at WestJet could walk off the job as early as Sunday if they are unable to reach a new deal. CUPE, the union representing the airline's flight attendants, says the main sticking points include what it calls unpaid work. WestJet is offering customers planning to fly between July 30th and August 4th a chance to make one-time changes to their bookings without fees. The airline says talks with the union are progressing and it's optimistic it can reach an agreement. After the break, island living. We've got some gorgeous coastal homes to fuel your real estate dreams. Plus,
to come back here and win the gold is incredibly special to me.
Making BC proud, we'll catch up with a Vancouver Island hammer thrower who just won gold at the Commonwealth Games. And later, Amelia's lizard. Adam finds out why this 4-year-old's unusual pet is proving to be so meaningful for her parents. Coming up on the Sawatsky sign-off. Right now, here's Craig Krause with a preview of your morning, Vancouver.
Well, summertime means fewer blood donations, but is there something else at play here? Wednesday on Your Morning Vancouver, the urgent call for donors as inventory drops more than usual, leaving blood services perplexed. Plus, we'll tell you how you can celebrate 100 years of memories on Grouse Mountain, what you need to know about Centennial Festival wrapping up this weekend. And another local chef joins us as we mark Food Week. See you in the morning.
Katy Perry is set to release her third concert movie. The Lifetime's tour live from Paris will take audiences back to November 2025 when Perry played a sold-out show at Accor Arena. It will be in cinemas and IMAX for one night only, September 2nd. Tickets go on sale Thursday. Perry has 2 other concert movies released in 2012 and 2015. Nanaimo hammer throw champion Ethan Katzberg added another major title to his growing list of achievements today, taking gold at the Commonwealth Games in Scotland. Not only did Katzberg strike gold, the 24-year-old set a Commonwealth Games record with his very first throw of 80.97 meters. Now, that record throw comes 4 years after earning silver at the last Games. Katzberg is already a 2-time world champion and Olympic gold medalist. CTV News spoke with him today about the special meaning of this victory, coming at the same event where he made his senior international debut, along with that signature mustache.
There's criteria for being a Canadian hammer thrower, and the mustache is a part of the outfit. The Commonwealth Games holds a special place in my heart. It's the first senior team I was on, first senior medal. I took silver at the last one. So to come back here and win the gold is incredibly special to me.
You think his mustache is impressive? Here's how impressive his throw was. It traveled nearly 4 meters farther than the silver medalist from Cyprus. Fellow hammer throw athlete Rowan Hamilton of Chilliwack took home bronze. Well, it was a squirrely situation at the ballpark last night as a pesky trespasser invaded the Detroit Tigers field, and the play-by-play announcer called all the action.
The chase for the squirrel is on, and the squirrel is in the corner, and the squirrel is still eluding an entire horde of grounds crew members. And the squirrel's free once again. Hemmed in? No, I won't be hemmed in. And hops through the towel. And hops through another towel. The force field is activated. Towels can't stop him, or maybe they can.
I feel like this is a career highlight. Once the squirrel was wrangled, the Tigers say it was released unharmed outside the stadium.
Hopefully with a big bag of nuts.
You know,
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
I'm going to say it. Baseball can be boring.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the squirrel, career highlight.
I think someone put him in there just for it.
Well, it's time for Living Large, our weekly segment showcasing dream homes across BC and what it would cost to call them your own.
That's right. And tonight we're touring some of the most luxurious listings on Vancouver Island.
I need to do a Robin Leach voice for this one. Just minutes. I'm not going to do it. Schwartz Bay on the northern tip of Saanich Peninsula, this $16 million legacy home offers a unique island experience. Built in 1910, much of the home's interior features a very retro feel with plenty of windows to enjoy some stunning sunsets. This property also comes with nearly 600 meters of low bank ocean frontage with its own private boat dock, and that sounds perfect for you.
That sure does. I love it. And if you're looking for peace and quiet, this French-style country estate hidden on Salt Spring Island is the perfect fit.
Ooh la la.
Only accessible by dirt road, this 7,000 square foot home is set on 71 acres of land, which includes 2 horse stables and a timber frame workshop, perfect for hobby enthusiasts. And for extra relaxation, this home also comes with a nearby Finnish wood stove sauna and cabana overlooking the island.
The sauna wins me over every time. Finally, this beachfront estate offers some of the best ocean views Vancouver Island can offer, and that's saying a lot. Nestled on the sandy shores of Qualicum Beach, this nearly $12 million home features stunning views of the Strait of Georgia from your own private veranda. A private pool, tennis courts, and separate carriage house are among some of the amenities that make this peaceful beachfront home stand out.
Well, if one of you buys that home, I volunteer to live in a carriage house. You know?
I think we're going to have to pool our money to get even half of it. I'll be a very polite
neighbor. Well, just before we get to the Swatsky sign-off, Lauren, what are you working on for 11:30 tonight?
Well, Nafisa, we will be keeping track of the wildfire situation, of course, but we also have a bit of a fun one for you tonight. You probably haven't thought of this much while out enjoying our beautiful beaches, but there are hundreds of species of seaweed along BC's coast, and it's pretty incredible all of the things it does for our ecosystem. We have some of the latest research and neat finds just below the surface.
Sounds fascinating. Thank you, Lauren. Well, finally tonight, Adam finds out the story behind a 4-year-old's unexpected walking companion and how it helps keep the memory of a beloved family pet close. On tonight's Encore Sawatsky sign-off.
On any given day, you'll find 4-year-old Amelia walking with just one lizard.
She's not a real lizard, she's just a toy lizard.
A toy lizard named Lizzie, whose story begins with a very real dog named Surrey.
Who was my wife's dog from the time she was a puppy.
And when Kyler Nurmsu's wife got pregnant, they couldn't wait to introduce Surrey to their first baby.
I met real Surrey in my mommy's tummy.
Unfortunately, they had to put real Surrey down less than 2 months before Amelia was born.
You know, that was really devastating to not have the two of them meet.
So Kyler found a chocolate lab stuffy that his wife brought to the hospital so Surrey could be there in spirit when they welcomed Amelia into the world.
Eventually, Amelia kind of claimed that stuffed animal as her own and wanted to take it for walks.
Whenever her dad would take their remaining dog, Baloo, for walks, Amelia would do the same with their stuffed animal, Surrey.
Which I think is especially meaningful for my wife, but certainly for both of us.
Despite how caring Amelia was with that toy dog, the girl considered it her parents' pet. So when Kyler and his wife happened upon a store that was selling a rubber lizard on a leash,
we're like, that is going to be perfect for Amelia to take for walks.
They were right. Amelia and Lizzie have been going for daily walks ever since.
Makes me feel happy and Lizzie feel happy.
While Kyler and Baloo's goal is simply exercise, Amelia and Lizzie are also pursuing creative escapades.
This is Lizzie's skateboard.
When Lizzie isn't racing around on skateboards constructed from leaves, the lizard is bravely leaping off giant cliffs so Amelia can find the courage to do the same. A very real dog's legacy of love, passed down from parent to child to lizard to everyone, Amelia hopes, who passes by.
Makes people feel really happy, happy, happy.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Esquimalt.
The Sawatsky Sign-Off, brought to you by 1-800-GOT-JUNK. They make junk disappear. All you have to do is point.
So, guys, not just regular happy, but happy, happy, happy.
I would love watching her walk her little lizard everywhere.
So much joy.
Absolutely adorable. All right, let's take a look at our scenic snapshot for tonight. Chasing the Chatterbox waterfalls on the Sunshine Coast. Thanks, Brad, for sending this beautiful photo in. And we want to see your scenic snapshot as well, so email us at scenicsnapshot@ctv.ca.
I thought we weren't supposed to go chasing waterfalls.
Always chase waterfalls and the rivers that you're used to.
Millennial humor, everyone.
We got it, yeah.
That is all for us tonight. Thank you so much for sharing part of your evening with us. Good night.